This happened literally yesterday, and I honestly don't think I've fully processed it yet. Me, F19, and my friend, F19, were biking home at around 3 a.m. on a dimly lit street right next to our house. On one side was forest, pitch black beyond the tree line, and on the other side were a bunch of houses. From far away, we spotted a red car with one broken headlight parked ahead. As soon as we got closer, the car started moving, passed us very slowly, then made a U-turn and drove past us again. Even in the dark, it was obvious we were two girls alone at night, so we put some space between us and them. As soon as we got to the sidewalk, we noticed a girl standing partially hidden behind a white truck, watching that same red car. The car was creeping towards her. Then, she ran off, running up the sidewalk and turning into a bike path that cuts through the forest. Immediately, two men got out the car and followed her in. So we decided to follow and try to help that girl. Survival instincts hadn't kicked in yet. I live next to that forest. I know how dark it gets. No one walks that path without a flashlight unless they have a reason, and even then it was 3 the morning. The slow footsteps, the bucket hat guy, the way the car disappeared, it all just felt wrong. We reached the path entrance and saw the red car just waiting there. The driver, a guy in a white bucket hat, looked straight at us, then sped away far into the street. The path was pitch black. We walked in, fence on one side, dense forest on the other. That's when I noticed its slow, deliberate footsteps, keeping pace with us, definitely not an animal, and heavy enough to be a person. We kept walking on until my friend spotted the girl ahead of us. She shined her flash and called out, "Hey, are you okay?" The girl looked over her shoulder, stared for a moment, with this unreadable, creepy expression, and then took off running deeper into the darkness. At that point, our survival instincts finally kicked in. We turned and sprinted back the way we came, screaming as we ran. We called the police as soon as we got back to the street. Within minutes, 3 police cars arrived. They asked questions, and one ghost car drove down the forest path. About 5 minutes later, they returned and showed us a photo of the girl. The cops said they found her with one man, which made no sense, because less than 10 minutes earlier we'd seen her completely alone and running away. They also said neither of them would identify themselves or explain why they were there. They brushed us off, saying we could go home now. As we walked away, we saw 3 people get into a police car, which made it even weirder, because earlier they said there was only one guy with her. So was there really someone following us in the woods? I keep thinking, what if this was trafficking bait? Maybe the only reason they didn't go after us was because we started screaming. Either way, I can't stop replaying it in my head. When I was a little girl, I'm 18 now, I had this friend called Harry. We met through school, but our dads worked together. My dad got his apprenticeship through his dad and made our families close friends. Harry occasionally had days where he would be completely different from the kid I knew, and I mean screaming, flipping tables, etc. in school, which was later found out to be a mix of autism and ADHD. Unluckily for me and him, as well as a few of my old friends, he got the kind of mix that made him overly creepy and violent even in the present, if he didn't get what he wanted. But I only found this out in year 10 of school, UK. When we were pretty young, I think around year 4 school, when I was told never to go near him by my parents. I later found out it was because of his mother being overly obsessive and stalkish to my dad. She managed to get my dad fired by Harry's dad because she went through my dad's personal messages and DMs on his laptop during lunch and found my dad and mom's personal messages. God knows what she saw in there, but I know she found my dad saying he didn't enjoy working with Harry's dad. Unknown to her, it was because of the lack of clients my dad got, not because of Harry's family. This was enough for her to scream the shop down to her husband, Harry's dad. A client and my dad wording the messages out to make my dad sound like a horrible person. This resulted in my dad losing his job and moving his work to Eastleigh. I didn't talk to Harry for about a year after that, which is why I think it was year 4 when that went down. But in year 6 of school ages 10 to 11, I found myself in a very close trio friend group with him and his best help, friend Isaac. I grew a crush on Isaac, and we later on begun dating, with Isaac's confession happening with Harry right next to us as we walked a marathon on our school's field. We spent every day at the park nearby playing manhunt, etc., and it was great, but in year 7 going into our teenage years, we completely grew apart. Harry moved schools for a couple years and came back in year 9, but I never really saw him around school at all and never talked to him and me, and Isak eventually broke up in year 7, causing us to lose contact fully. The next time I talked to Harry that I remember was during my year 10 work experience. I was teacher's assistant to a group of kids, and he was helping with fitness, so we came across each other during the kids' PE class. We briefly caught up, and I was, unfortunately, in the I'll have a crush on the first person who pays me attention phase. So for a brief moment, I thought I liked him, but the feelings very quickly left when I found out he was with one of my friends at the time. We didn't speak again for a long time until him and my friend broke up, where she warned me about him. She told me that he had my profile pictures on WhatsApp and Instagram screenshotted, which he excused by saying that his power and volume buttons were easy to press, and he often took accidental screenshots and would leave the moment A friend asked him why he even pressed on my picture in the first place. At first she thought he was cheating on her with me, which explained why she previously completely distanced herself from me, but I showed her mine and Harry's messages showing our last conversation being in the summer holidays before year 7, and she thankfully believed me. She told me that he likely had something for me, and if he asked me out to say no immediately, with the reason that he often keeps pushing for every little thing and that the rumors were true. There were many rumors about him doing unbelievable things to people, which I won't go into detail about. If someone said, no, I can't hang out today, he would turn up at their house, or years later at my work. I'm trying to hang out with you because he added it to his schedule, and many other things which I can't mention on here, but basically, he doesn't believe in consent in most situations. He would pressure you in order to get what he wants. Thankfully, my friend got out in time, and we all collectively helped her through the messy breakup. At the time, I fully listened to my friend, but the conversation quickly left my mind as time passed. It was only until we had finished our GCS and were starting out in college that he tried to reach out to me through Instagram since our numbers had changed. I unfortunately don't have the conversation anymore. I just looked for it, and it was gone. But he started by telling me he had a massive crush on me when I was in year 8, which already made me uncomfortable, but we moved the conversation to Snap, since he added me somehow by search mid-conversation, so we just naturally switched to Snap, since we were both on it. I wish I took pictures of my screen, but he said very creepy things about how I looked, and it wasn't like overly mature, but just the random, "you're so pretty," which was enough to make me want to leave the conversation. He went into more detail, saying he had a massive crush on me in year 10 and 11 when he was with my friend. He eventually asked me out with another wave of compliments, and before I could reply, he messaged me again, asking if I got the number bus I got into college at the time. Since he lived nearby, I figured he just saw me on it here and there. So I said yes. And if he goes to college in the area, which he said yes, and proceeded to tell me how he always saw me sitting at the back right seat, that was one row in, front of the back of the bus, and he was too shy to say hi. I found this very creepy too, since I had never seen him once on the bus, and he was the type of guy you can easily recognize. He was that type of guy you'd see at every anime convention with the fake katanas. My seat allowed me to see everyone who got on the bus, and everyone sat behind me as I walked up to the seat, and I never saw him, which made me feel like he was behind me the whole time. I spent the rest of my college years feeling like he was sat behind me watching me when I couldn't see him. Every time I got on the bus, I would actively look out for him, but never saw him. A few times I'd see his snap start to message, but when I looked around me, it would stop, and I'd never see him on the bus. There was even a few times where he would say, "You're on your way to college," or "You look good today. I saw you on the bus," but when I'd look around, he wasn't there, and I was the type of person who would look out the windows the whole journey, so he wasn't outside. He eventually confessed his love again, and I rejected him, telling him I was only looking for women. I wasn't aware that I was lesbian at the time. Months later, and he tried again, pulling the same creepy messages but getting more forward with every attempt, which this time I told him I wasn't into him. He then tried again a month later, which I told him I was gay to see if it would stop him. Spoiler, it didn't, and he tried again a few weeks later. That time I told him I liked someone, and that's when he started getting more violent. He tried one more time, which I told him I was in a relationship. The part that got violent with these constant messages was his responses to my rejections. The first time I rejected him, he sent me a photo of him crying. The second, he put the okay. The third time, he left me on red. The fourth time, he snapped and wrote 4F, CKS sake, and didn't message again for a while. And the last one I quickly asked if he had found anyone, of which he said not yet, and we left it there. Time went by, and I didn't hear from him. I finished college and started working full-time with my brother, who is now my manager, when Harry walked in late evening getting an energy drink and some crisps. Instead of using our 4 self-serves, he came up to me at the till, and he was the Harry I knew. And I don't mean the violent, creepy one, I mean the casual, genuine guy I once knew, and I reintroduced him to my brother since he knew of his family but didn't completely know Harry. During my break later that shift, Harry messaged me on Instagram again. This time I do have the chat still saved and screenshotted. It was the usual. It was nice to see you again. And then he started talking about catching up, which I wasn't entirely happy about. The last thing I want is me alone with him when I know he can't control himself after a drink or any time past 8 p.m. So I just agreed but didn't proceed with it. Just said, yeah, we should, but didn't actually try to make a plan. The next day we talked about our upcoming results that happened a few days ago in the present and what we were individually going to do. I mentioned I had work, so I might buy myself a little something, just some casual small talk, when he hit me with the word for word. Also, to be fair with you, I really liked you when you were going out with Isak, and when I acted, surprised he texted again, saying yeah, and it was like a massive one too. I didn't know what to say, so I left him on read, and I haven't heard from him since. Even though it's only been a week, I know he will probably try again. Unfortunately, he has all of my socials, multiple different cosplay accounts on social medias. He knows where I work, live, and we live very near to each other. So blocking him would only result in him trying to see me at work or somewhere in person. So I'd much rather keep him on the screen than progress into in person, since he's much more unpredictable. But I often find him stalking my accounts every night around 10 p.m., which is the time that he sent all of those confessions. I know he will try again since nothing seems to get by him. I'm just thankful that I have my older brother at my work to keep me safe just in case he showed his true colors at my work. Also, just to clarify, around 3/4 of this happened in person, the other quarter happened online. So to my very creepy childhood friend, for the love of God, let's not meet ever again. My girlfriend loves mushrooms. Every late summer we have this little ritual, going into the forest, basket in hand, just 15 minutes from home. That day, we decided to change things up, explore a part of the woods we didn't know. Wilder, quieter, maybe richer. The road leading there is long, straight, surrounded by trees so tall they close in like a tunnel. I drive slowly and pull over at the entrance of the path. There's already another car, an old beat-up red car, paint peeling, windows dirty. Inside, a man, old, motionless, his pale face pressed against the glass, and his eyes staring at us. I shiver. Usually this wouldn't bother me, but something feels wrong, heavy, like a weight on my chest. My girlfriend opens the trunk. The sound echoes in the silence of the forest. She grabs her basket, empties her bag. The man doesn't move. His eyes shift from us to my open trunk. My neck tenses. What if he's waiting for us to leave, to break into the car, to steal our things? I whisper my fears to my girlfriend. She laughs, says I'm paranoid. So we move on. The path swallows us. The cars disappear. The forest is too quiet. No birds, no wind, just our footsteps. I keep glancing back, and then I see it. The old red car. Further down the path. He followed us. I freeze. Point it out to my girlfriend. She turns around, and instantly the car reverses. Quickly, like it's trying to hide. Minutes later, it reappears, then pulls back again. Cold chills run down my spine. My throat tightens. I whisper, "Let's hide." We slip off the path. Behind thick bushes, the earth is damp under my palms. I hold my breath. My heartbeat pounds in my ears. 2 minutes. Silence. Then, clack. A car door. Footsteps. Heavy. Slow. Crushing branches. We see him between the trees. His hunched frame. His head turning side to side. His eyes scanning the woods. searching. He's right there, just a few meters away. My skin prickles, my throat burns. We burst from our hiding spot, step back onto the path. He sees us, freezes, then jolts and runs, straight back to his car. My girlfriend grips her pepper spray with shaking hands. We move fast, too fast. My legs want to sprint, but I force myself to stay calm. When we reach the car, he's inside. Windows up, phone to his ear, pretending to talk. Or maybe actually calling someone. I can't tell. I think about confronting him, but every instinct in me screams, "Don't." We get in. I start the engine. My hands tremble on the wheel. I drive slowly, eyes glued to the rearview mirror. I tell myself, if he stays, maybe I just overreacted. But if he follows... 1 minute later, headlights. The old red car pulls out of the lot. It speeds off, not behind us, in the opposite direction. Relief crashes over me like a wave. I've never breathed so deeply. I'll never know what he wanted. Maybe nothing. But I don't believe that. Not for a second. Old man in the red car. Let's not meet.